Welcome, everyone. We are happy to see you at the beginning of the third season of Innovative Universities webinar, where we speak to those who are at the helm of higher education institutions that might or might not be the future of higher education. Can I have the next slide on the format? So just for our audience, a quick reminder, the format of our webinar remains the same as it was in Season 1 and Season 2. The webinar will last exactly 1 hour. We will start with a short presentation from our speaker, who Isak will introduce in a couple of seconds. We will have recordings on YouTube. We typically post our takeaways with Isak on LinkedIn as well as on the website, and please share your thoughts as well. We respond to all comments. Now, behind the mic are your co-hosts, Isak Frumin and myself, Dara Melnyk. Alexander Martinchuk is the person who is steering the whole operation and making it work. We have also got the steering committee who help us select the most interesting cases around the world. I will now pass my mic to Isak. Isak?
Thank you. And let me have the next slide, because I want to introduce today our speaker and our case, first case of this season. And I have to tell you that, as it often happens, I learned about this university from practice, not from the books, because still the books about interesting universities are rarer. We rather talk about average universities. But when I first time was at a conference in Warsaw, I met representatives of Merito University, and I was surprised that there is a representative of Merito University from Wrocław, from Warsaw, from Poznan. So I asked myself, what is it? And then I met Paweł, the chairman of the board of this Merito group, and he explained me the concept. I realized that it's something more. And then there was another conference in Poland, in Wrocław, where Merito University Wrocław was a host, and I was very impressed with this concept of multi-campus university without central campus, more or less. It's an interesting model. The question is it academically and economically efficient? We'll learn today. And this is why we asked Paweł. In fact, his correct position is president of Merito Universities Development Centre. Maybe he will tell more about this organization, to tell us about this model, its advantages, challenges. Paweł is connected to this university, to this enterprise, almost for 30 years. Trained as an economist, I guess he had learning by doing in managing this university, but also attended Oxford Entrepreneurial University's leadership program. And it's interesting that we have a few graduates, few alumni of this program at our roster of speakers. So it's great to have Paweł today, and let's engage into the discussion. But first, let's hear from him. What is Merito University Group? What is the model? What are the challenges and prospects? Paweł, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Isak. Thank you for inviting me for this webinar. I would like to give you a brief introduction about Merito University Group. The agenda for today will be just a few slides about Polish higher education, a little bit about our organization of our group, what we do in terms of research and how is our what is our approach to the innovations or generally to the management of the group, because we perceive that also the organization and management is also can also be a part of innovation. Just a few words about Polish higher education market. We have over 300 higher education institutions in Poland. 200 of them are non-public and 130 are public higher education institutions. There are both full universities, there are specialized universities, there are universities or schools equivalent to the German Fachhochschule, both in public and in private sector. When we look at the number of students, we have currently 1,250,000 more or less students on our market, and 1/3 are the students in the private sector, 2/3 are students in the public sector. As you can see, in last years, the non-public sector is slightly growing and public sector is slightly declining in terms of number of students. I think this is due to two factors. One is the competition and the offer and elasticity of the non-public sector, and the second thing is connected also with the state financing system, which is not really promoting too big expansion of the public universities in terms of number of students. I think the main factor was the introduction into optimal ratio between number of students and number of faculty, which was a very important factor leading to this decline in the number of students in the public sector in last years. A few words about Merito Group, our organizational structure. As you can see, we have 4 brands. We have Merito Universities Development Centre. This is founding company. It's not the owner of the universities, but it's equivalent in our legal system. And we have WSB Merito Universities. These are actually 4 separate legal entities with some branch campuses. We have University of Lower Silesia. We have Civitas University in Wrocław and the College of Economics and Computer Science in Kraków. And actually, the 3 universities are together. They form the Research Federation, which is quite new to our legal system. It was introduced, I think, around 6 years ago. And this is where we combine our research activity, and we can be evaluated from outside by the state as far as the research is concerned, as a group of universities pooling our research activities and also making it possible to cooperate for our researchers from different campuses. Actually, in Poland, we have 3 research federations. 2 of them are formed by the private institution, and 1 is created by the public institutions. We were the first one which was created under the new law. When we look at the map of Poland, we are covering more or less the whole area of Poland. Actually, in 2 cities, in Wrocław and in Warsaw, those 2 cities mentioned by Isak, we have 2 universities in the same city with different brand. So this is even some kind of internal competition situation we have in those two cities. In terms of numbers, we have around 110,000 students in all those locations, with probably with majority of our students are Polish, but we also have international students, as you can see, in different numbers in different places. So the group in numbers: 7 legal entities, 7 universities, 12 cities, 14 campuses, because 2 cities are 2 campuses. We have 30 years of experience on Polish educational market. If we have over 1,000 programs on both on bachelor, master level, postgraduate, and MBA programs, spread all over the Poland, and as I said, more than 100,000 students in last December. Our history started in 1994 with the creation of Poznań Banking School. This was the university level, but only with the bachelor courses. I will not tell the whole story, but we grow with creation of the new universities, namely Merito Universities. We are also active in the takeovers and mergers in the Polish educational sector. In one moment, we get this, at first, the master's degree granting rights, then the PhD degree granting rights, and we are in the moment which was described before with the numbers I gave you. Just a few words about my company. We are university founding company. So we operate as a delivery center for the selected shared services offered into universities, like IT, like some consulting, like some financial services, etc., etc. And our universities are charged based on an annual basis for the delivered services. What is very important is that the mission of our company and the values which are rooted in this in the mission are the partnership, professionalism, and development-oriented mindset. That's what we want from the people who are working in the Merito Universities Development Centers. They are evaluated against those criteria, also by our shareholders, namely the people who are working in the universities. The main roles, the main areas we are active as a founding company is strategic management, relations with ministry and relations with accreditation agencies, IT systems, fundraising, mergers and acquisitions, marketing, sales, and public relations. Actually, we do the whole marketing for the whole system. Also, some support in international collaboration, HR for the executives of the universities. So I think we are really managing the 40 to 50 top managers in the universities. Financial control and project management, because we are doing quite a lot of job as a projects, very often projects which are not the projects within one company, but these are projects of all the universities. As I told, we created the Research Federation a few years ago. This helps us to consolidate our scientific community, and it's also creates a great chance for the high scientific categories. I will tell you just a few words in a moment. And also, we believe that this provides us to us the higher efficiency in joint scientific development activities. We can choose people from different fields of academic activity and from different cities. As far as the evaluation is concerned, the Polish scientific disciplines evaluation is based on the 3 criteria: publications, and we have the list of the of the scientific journals, and they get a certain number of points, and based on this is the first criteria. The second one are the amount of grants and commercialization revenue from the commercialization. And the third one is so-called socio-economic impact, when we provide some information how our research, what is the impact of our research. And in Polish system, you can get a grade A+, A, B+, B, and C. So we at the moment have 5 A+, A and 5 B+. A and B+ means that in those scientific areas we have doctoral degree granting power. And our evaluation system is based not on the, let's say, target level of points you get from those three criteria, but those criteria are measured against actually the results of other universities, both public and private. It's, I must add that probably 10 to 15% of the private universities are taking part in the evaluation, but so we are mainly compared with the public institution in this exercise. And going to the innovation principles for our group, we grow and develop both based on the mergers and acquisitions, as well as organic growth or greenfield growth. So we created some new locations, but in some places we bought the already existing private institutions and make them part of our universities. And in terms of, let's say, general philosophical things, I think we are very much oriented on a good organizational structure, finding the balance between centralization and individualization of the operation on certain campus. We work very much as a founding company on a management system of the whole system. We try to introduce data management, data-driven policy. We try to be as much as possible process-driven organization, and we are also responsible as a founding company for the whole strategic management, which means not just, writing nice strategies, but writing strategies we are evaluating every 3 months, and very often changing things because of the changes in the organization or outside the organization. Thank you very much for this short introduction, and I'm open for the further questions.
Paweł, thank you very much for a very clear introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, the core of the matter is that the number of private universities in Europe is growing, and so is the number of students in them. Hence the question for you, Paweł. So, why aren't public universities doing what you are doing? What need are you serving?
Well, I think when we turn back into history, at the very beginning, we have, as a post-communist country, we have a very big educational gap. 30 years ago, when we started, less than 10% of young people went to the university. Right now, it's over 40% in Poland. So that was, at the very beginning, this was a very big driving force, and the public universities could not satisfy the demand on the market, definitely. We also have a demand from the people who were already working, and they didn't have a higher education background. And for example, in the banking sector, which was our original field of education, there was a lot of people who need to finish higher education to get the degree, education degree, in order to keep the job, simply. Then we we're trying to, and I think the non-public institutions were very much client-oriented. That's very big driving force for the development of the sector. Elasticity, creation of the new programs, and which were really, there was a need from the market, practically oriented higher education. And I think last 10 years we developed, maybe not from the scratch, because we are looking for the inspiration outside world, but we developed the concept of being for the working adults. We have a lot of students, maybe they are not very old in terms of number of years, but very often they combining job with the university studies, and we are much more elastic in providing at least the organization which is suitable for such a situation.
Could you actually elaborate on that? I studied your website a little bit and read how you cater to working students in particular. But in your words, what do you do that helps them to both maintain their job position and still learn something? Like, how do you organize the learning process?
Okay. Starting from the organization of the curricula, we have the courses both for the students who study, let's say, Monday to Friday, but actually we try to keep the organization that they have, let's say, 3, maximum 4 days, they have to be at the university. So they can combine this with the part-time job. And of course, we have students who study on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. Actually, this is the majority. Depends on our location. Depends on the university. The weekend students can be 70%, 80% in some locations. It can be also 50% in some locations. So we have much more of, as we call it, non-traditional students, but in most cases they are in the age of 20 to 30, but they combine the job. Of course, we, especially after the COVID, we have the hybrid organization of lectures. So students have to participate in some lectures, and they get the support of the online materials. Some courses are fully online, but we are restricted by law. We cannot have more than 50% online in Poland if we teach the so-called practice-oriented courses. So we have in Poland, in our system, the university can have, as we call it, academic courses and practical courses, more or less, if we translate this our system. And if you provide practical courses, you have to provide 50% face-to-face. If you provide academic courses, you have to provide, I think, only 30% as face-to-face. But we believe that being practical, which means that we have much more practical placement, the program is much more oriented towards the practical things. We decided to have the practical courses, and we have our maximum of online is 50%.
Yeah, just to follow up, Dara, if you allow me, yeah, it's very interesting, very structured approach, but I know that even in Poland, some academics said, and it's not only about your university, that this emphasis on practical skills makes the university more like University of Applied Science, which trains people, let's say, not engineers, but technicians. These universities are also are super important. But there should be some clarity about their mission. So do this practical training provide, in your opinion and in your analysis of your outcomes, the same level or similar level of broad understanding, fundamental knowledge for the people who are going to work in some industries, like traditional universities?
Well, I think you cannot provide everything to everybody. So yes, that's true. We are a little bit closer to the concept of the applied science than to be very highly academic. That's true. But I think the customer, the student, is not a stupid person. They are choosing this kind of education for reason. And I know a lot of people who said, okay, I finished bachelor studies in a private university, in our university. And then, because I wanted to manage my portfolio of diplomas, I went for the master studies to the public universities. And I combine, maybe a little bit higher status of the diploma of master, but what I can use in my workplace is what I learn at your university, because you are much more practically oriented. We have a lot of teachers who are part-time teachers, and actually there are people who are working in the business. If we are teaching banking, we have people who are working in banking. We are teaching taxes. We have people who are tax advisors and people who are working for the tax administration as a part of our faculty members, which provides them a little bit more real life experience. And we don't have, the courses in theoretical physics or chemistry, which is probably much more academically oriented. We are much more in the social sciences. You see the fields of our research. We are not doing, very, fundamental research. We are doing research in the area of business, educational studies, and this kind of areas.
But yeah, that's in fact, this is one of the central points of the current discussions in higher education. All this issue of employability and linkages with the research, and in some cases, universities that we're talking with tell us, okay, we are not research university and we teach practical skills, but you have also quite ambitious research agenda, and definitely from your rating of this A, B plus, I see that your faculty, you have some faculty that are doing research. So still, maybe, again, this is just my hypothesis, that you kind of in the middle between purely applied science things when we train people to perform concrete operations, and with universities that train people with the principles on which these operations are based on. So something in the middle.
Isak, may I comment a little bit on this? Because
Sure.
I think this is very much also about managing faculty. We are very clear if you are just teaching or you want to make teaching and research. And we have different systems for the faculty who is only teaching, and for those who are teaching and research, combining teaching with research. But if you say, I want to be a researcher as well, this is, very, it's also a little bit target oriented in the faculty management. If you say, I am also the researcher, we want to have the real outcomes from your research, because this is how we are evaluated, and we have to be very pragmatic. Actually, I think probably, I don't know the exact numbers, and I probably never calculated this, but more than 50, 60, 70% of the cost of our research is actually based on the fees of students. It's not on the outside funding from the state or whatever. Yeah, we are trying to get grants, and our researchers are trying to get grants, but this, especially if we wanted to start to be there, we have to finance it, part of it at least from the student fees. But we have, let's say, two markets. We have the market with the students. We have also the market with the faculty, and we are competing for the faculty as well. And we have some people who want to do some research. This might be our competitive advantage when we are acquiring faculty members.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's about the faculty, but still, I can imagine the Fachhochschule or University of Applied Science that has some research active faculty. But just probably this is the last question in this area. But again, how does it influence the teaching and curriculum again? And so I have clear picture what's difference between your type of training and classical universities. But what is the difference between your type of training and universities of applied science or technical schools?
Well, that's not an easy question because I think we don't have the proper boundaries between those kind of institutions, and we can see both also in public sector. We have around 20 years ago the process of creation around 30 universities of applied sciences. Some of them were merged with the bigger universities. Some of them stay independent. Some of them are trying to be, let's say, the classical university, but are still very much on the way. And I think if you look at the curricula, it might be that our curricula is also very much practical if you compare with this kind of institution. I think right now, even in the public sector, in the classical universities, this need to be more practical oriented is recognized, because this is a need of the market. This is a need of the students to have, let's say, the modern knowledge, but knowledge I can apply. The percentage of people who want to become a researcher is not very big among all the students cohorts. Okay. But I think we'll have to go very, very much in deep and try to compare the curricula and this kind of stuff. And I think the objective picture of this would not be exactly the same as who is doing research and who is not doing research. We have quite a lot of, I think, very well recognized institutions who are doing research and at the same time they are practically oriented.
Okay.
I have a follow-up to this, and it's also about research. Forgive us for our specific interest with Isak. So the question will be slightly long because I want to get into philosophy of higher education a little bit. We had an interesting conversation with Friedrich Fallhammer, who at that time was director of the University of Continuing Education Krems, and we asked him, well, you are the University for Continuing Education. You focus, just like Merito does, on working students, on professionals, in their case with 10 plus years of experience, why do you also need to be a research university? And he just said, well, it's in the Constitution. A university must be a research university. That is the law. That is how it was intended. And then it just gets me thinking, so why do you need research? Is it just because of normative isomorphism? And if you don't have PhD degrees, then you're not fully at the same level as other, let's say, public universities? Or is it just a natural inclination of every higher education institution to eventually become a full-scale research university, just to cover all aspects of knowledge management?
It's not. In Poland, you can be University of Applied Science and say, I do not do any research from the legal point of view. It's not necessary. Maybe you will have the problem with having the faculty, as I mentioned before, because people would like to have, some of the people would like to have this this option. You are not so much socially recognized. And I remember it was around the year 2000 when the bachelor degree was introduced in the Polish educational system. And right now, after 25 years, it is considered to be higher education. And it is considered to be the proper higher education diploma. 25 years ago, when the bachelor degree separate from the master degree was introduced in the Polish, and the Bologna was introduced in the Polish system, if somebody had a bachelor degree, it looked like it's some kind of vocational school. It's not a higher education. This was the social perception, and I must say our government, our state did not invest any money in saying people that this is a higher education qualification. It needs to have time. And right now, of course, as I said, this is a problem also to a certain extent problem of the social recognition and the problem of being competitive to faculty as well. But actually, as I told, I think around 15% of the public institutions do not go through this scientific evaluation process. And I think around 85% of the private institutions do not go through this exercise.
So there are two interesting aspects about your case. The first one is it being a private federation, and the second is about it being a private federation. So I'll get to the governance aspect of this.
Yeah.
Where do decisions sit? You mentioned that the center is the center, so to say, is responsible for strategic management and also project management. But in practice, how much does a member university get to decide, and how much does the the founder get to decide?
Okay, it depends on the functional area. Let's start with the faculty and employment, also the both academics and administrative staff. We control just the top management, and university has freedom to employ staff. As far as the academic programs are concerned, we are just helping with some, at the very moment, we are just helping with accreditation processes, but the universities, they have the freedom to have their own programs. So we have course in management in one city, and it's not the same course as in the other city. As far as, for example, marketing is concerned, it's highly centralized, and we have all the people who are doing this activity. We are managing the communication with outside world. You mentioned strategy, which is very, very important. Actually, we have in our systems something we call the strategy of the group. This is the what we want to do as a group. We have the projects which involves all the universities, and each of the university has its own strategy with the curricula they want to develop, with things they want to do with, for example, with HR of the employees and this kind of stuff. So this is a mixture. And very often we are saying that we are a big ship with, 5, 6, 7 engines. And of course, this is always the managing, the more or less the same direction. And there is a lot of, power distribution games and this kind of stuff. That's obvious in such an institution. We very often, if the group things are concerned, we have, as a founding company, a certain number of decisions. Okay, we are entitled to make those decisions, but we have also a lot of group decisions, which means that, for example, all the presidents or chancellors of our universities, we are sitting together and we are trying to find a consensus, what to do together, how to do it together, how much of the budget we want to spend on those things we are doing together. And our experience is that every more or less 3, sometimes 5 years, we have to rework our management system because of the growth of the company. And we discuss those things, what should be done on the certain level. In normal times, there is much more tension. In hard times, we are getting more consolidated. The COVID experience was that practically we meet for half a year every day for 1 hour, making the same decisions together and exchanging information. And this was a very fast decision-making process. Later on, if this is not so, not everyday situation, it takes sometimes much more time. Sometimes we have projects which, from the idea to final point of making decision that we are running this project, it sometimes takes 2 years as well. But we are working constantly on this. Also, the creation of the federation, which in our system, this is another legal entity, which is financed by the universities and is responsible for the research. But our researchers are the employees of the universities. But the Research Federation is setting targets for the research work of those people. This is all the time, hard job. And I think this is a mixture of central and local decisions.
That's super interesting. Just to, Dara, if I may, to follow on that. So Research Federation, it's very interesting idea because there are other multi-campus universities, not many, but some of universities have 2, 3 campuses. And I do know from the conversations with the leaders of these universities that it's extremely difficult to find the ways to encourage people working in the same, researchers in the same field from different campuses to work together. It's extremely difficult. And this probably what you did with this Research Federation is a very interesting attempt to create kind of institutional structure that facilitate this joint work. So is it mandatory for, if I'm economist in Wrocław is it mandatory for me to be part of Research Federation on Economics within the Merito group?
If you want to be a researcher, yes, and you will be to a certain extent managed, but also helped by the federation, because, well, actually federation gives some support to our researchers with the publications, with the acquiring grants, etc., etc. That's one of the things. But yes, you have to be a part of the federation. But it also started with a certain, let's say, crisis we have, because in the previous years, some of our universities, they tried to go through this evaluation process by themselves, and some results were very disappointing. So, and it wouldn't be possible, also from the economic point of view, that each separate university has enough funds, has enough researchers to get to this level. Of course, we have some universities which are much more specialized in one field and another in another field. I think what we are trying to do, but it's the beginning of the journey, is also to not only mix people from different locations, from different universities, but also mix people from different disciplines. In our evaluation systems, you can get some bonus for the interdisciplinary research. Mm-hmm. So this is sometimes very nice thing to have, interdisciplinary research, because we can get, let's say, extra points also in the evaluation process. Mm-hmm. But it's the beginning. It's the beginning, and 5, 6, 7 years. It's not mm-hmm. Fully workable. We are still working about. Maybe we should, have one, instead of having 5 scientific journals, we have our own 2, but highly ranked. It takes time. It takes time, definitely. But mm-hmm. I must say that we were successful in the first evaluation process, which means that we have amongst our researchers a certain amount of belief that this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of the critical factors, because our first evaluation as a federation was really above our own expectations. Really above.
Yeah, that's really
we got, in this evaluation, we didn't have one of the universities. So at that time we had altogether 8 disciplines, and our target was 8 disciplines with B+ or A. And our target was to have 3 B+. So this was really 250 or 300% of the target.
Yeah, it was a surprise. Yeah, Dara.
Well, every university can say that they performed better than they expected. That's quite rare. So talking about evaluations.
No, recently, by the way, I've read that Oxford and Cambridge are not in the top of British rankings, so they cannot say that they performed as expected, but that's another matter.
Well, so talking about evaluation and jumping from research to teaching, what are the mechanisms of quality assurance that you have? And do you have them across the group, individually in different universities? Uh-huh. Are they different from those that public universities have?
When we are talking about outside evaluation of the teaching and educational part of the universities, we have exactly the same system.
No. I'm interested in your own internal mechanisms.
Yeah, internal mechanism. In general, each university has own internal mechanism. It's not standardized. Mm-hmm. But we are sharing the experience. We have a lot of possibilities to share the experience. For example, we have annual meeting of course directors, and the directors from the same area of teaching, let's say management or finance or whatever. They have we create connections between them, but internal quality assurance is the something which is doing by each university is doing by itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, a bit of a similar question, but from a different perspective. How do you understand your own success? When do you know that a university in the group is doing well, and when do you know it's doing unwell? What are the criteria? What are the, I don't want to use the word KPI, but I cannot find a better synonym.
Well, you get what you measure. KPIs are good. We are using KPIs. Well, of course, as being private, we are using the normal economic KPIs like number of students, revenue, and profit margin, level of investment, and this kind of stuff. This is obvious. We have also some qualitative measures, mainly based on the strategy and what is important, what we want to achieve. We are also measuring the perception of our universities by students. Every year we do very extensive research about both quality of teaching, evaluating our teachers, but also quality of the institution, asking a lot of questions which are concerned with the, let's say, brand, our brand landmarks, which is being practical and being very friendly for the students. Those two things are measured against. We can say that, for example, how students in certain campus evaluate library, how they evaluate student services, financial services for students. Each function of the university is evaluated by the students, and I think 1/3 of the students are giving us the feedback. We don't have the system of, like in Britain, they have this national student survey. We don't have something like this in Poland, but we do very extensive survey of the students in our group. This is also evaluated. This also creates some KPIs, and the management of the certain school, they can say, okay, we want to improve our library. We'll set an KPI based on this student survey. And we also do, this is not very standardized, but from our point of view, we also do, as we call it, as we can sell some kind of the evaluation of quality of the management. We are evaluating the top managers, their effectiveness, how do they perform against the values of the company, and this kind of stuff. And this is also centralized for the top managers of the universities.
Dara, just one clarification. So, unlike many private universities, your student survey is not mandatory. So you have just about 30% of students respond.
It's not mandatory. We are encouraging students to participate. For example, right now, with the young people who are socially responsible, we say, okay, every student who fill in the questionnaire, this means certain amount of money we are putting in to some charities or this kind of stuff. So there are some incentives.
That's a great idea.
There are some incentives to to do this, but it's not mandatory.
I see. And the same about course evaluation. So when student,
Yeah.
okay, good. Dara, sorry, yeah. Oh,
No, it was exactly in the direction of my, let's say, line of questioning. Paweł, I want to take a step back, just one short
we have 5
follow-up.
minutes.
No. Okay, Isak.
No, go ahead. Yes, I just
No, I see the question that you have. I see it in your eyes. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's also a simple factual question. Also interesting idea to sell services to campuses, to branches.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgive me, but can they choose for example, you provide service in financial accounting and the campuses pay. So, but they cannot, cannot refuse, they cannot use other instruments.
In some areas, Isak, in some areas they cannot refuse. They are mandatory. So we are doing marketing. Actually, as far as the financial services are concerned, the bookkeeping services, they organize by themselves. We are doing some controlling and this kind of more in financial management. But it depends on the area. In IT, some of are mandatory. That's that's obvious.
Okay, Dara, that's all I had. Yeah.
All right, Paweł. So let's actually go into our final question. Every time we have the webinar, we ask our guests to share the advice for other university leaders. In your case, I want to ask you to share any bits of advice for leaders of specifically private universities in systems that are dominated by public higher education institutions. What have you learned? What should they keep in mind?
Well, I have three things. First, be student-oriented. Be student-oriented because they are paying our salaries, actually. And try your organization to know this. All the people try to know, try to get this information. Not your chancellor, not your president is paying your salary. The student is paying your salary, so you must be student-oriented. That's the first thing. The second thing, especially nowadays, you must be both elastic and innovative. Be open. Practically not anything is not given for sure. So try to be open for the new ideas, to innovate, to change things, to adapt to a situation. We are running a big thing, big organization. It needs structures, but it's very often you have to say, okay, this is structured, these are rules, but we have to, this is the moment to be elastic. And the COVID was the perfect example how we should behave. And it was a very good lecture also for us as an organization. And the last thing, be proud of yourself. Be objective, but be proud of yourself. You are not worse than the public sector. We are different, but be proud of yourself.
That's very interesting. And we have 1 minute, and so I will not ask this question, but I just want to say that this university group, or this confederation of universities, found a very interesting name. I have to congratulate you with your branding exercise, because Merito, probably from the word merit. And it's very good name. I'm surprised that you are the first who found this.
Well, this was a very, very long process. We make a rebranding, I think, 2.5 years ago. And this name was chosen out of, I think, around 300 different names. They were both created by the people who are working in the universities. We had the external advisor, special companies who are specializing in creating names. Yeah, but we are proud of it, and I think this is something which is very good, and it was based on the very good briefing who we are. Yeah, and we choose this name for our group. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Paweł, as you know, the majority of our audience is actually leaders or wannabe leaders of innovative universities. And closing the webinar, my last message is to them. Dear viewers, think twice before you start an innovative university, because apparently the problems start with the name selection. You don't want to go through 300 options. And in the meantime, Paweł, thank you very much for joining us today and for helping us open the third season of our webinar. Please, everybody, stay tuned. We post about upcoming webinars on LinkedIn. We have a lot of interesting cases in our sleeves for this season, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.